friends. Welcome to Facts, Opinions, and Real Talk. I'm your host, Heather Honey, and here we like to dive into the nitty gritty facts, sprinkle in some spicy opinions, and then cut to the no nonsense real talk. But before I introduce tonight's guest, which I am super excited about, here are a few reminders, and especially if you have not visited my channel before, welcome. But I don't mind the healthy discussions in the chat. So if people don't have the same opinion, no big deal. But I don't tolerate trolls. So if you're a troll, you're a SHIT-ster, just get on out. I don't do timeouts. You'll just be blocked and whatever. So, but for those that want to participate, you don't be afraid of using the live chat. That's what it's for. It's for group participation, or you can talk to one another in the chat about what we're talking about. So, or you can put in and ask questions, and I can pull them up and we can answer them. So please don't be afraid of that or embarrassed. I know this is something new for some people, and but don't be afraid of it, because you'll find out it's fun, you learn a lot, and you make a lot of connections with people. So, and then another thing, please subscribe, like this live stream, and click the notification bell, because with me, you don't want to miss any of my live streams because I don't have a set schedule. So please do that. All right, so let's get started because I'm so excited about my guest for tonight. All right. My first guest is Boston Bia, which I love her. I don't know if we officially met when I went back, when I went to Boston in May for the Karen Reed trial, but she's in a lot of my pictures. So anyways, but afterwards we've gotten to know each other, and I've been on her show. And so I was really excited when she said yes to come on my show. So, but Bia is a Massachusetts resident who started attending standouts, fundraising, and became a co-host of Calling All Beings. And she did all that during the injustices that are going on in Massachusetts. And if you don't know about that, we'll probably talk about some of it. And I've also mentioned it in some of my previous videos and live streams as well. So, but yeah, I was so excited, and she just has a heart of gold. So let's bring on Bia. Hey, Bia.
Hello. Good evening.
And I'm a one-woman show, so I'm a little slow, and I'm going to do an applause. So thank you so much for coming and taking the time, because I know you are so busy
Oh,
with
no,
everything
I'm
you've
so
got.
happy to be here. Thank you for having me on.
Sure. Okay, so the next guest, I have watched her off and on several other channels that, like, way before Karen Reed. I didn't tell her that, but that's how I knew who she was. And I was like, she's Southern. She's a private investigator. I really like her way of thinking and how I don't know, the way she analyzes things. And I was like, gosh, if I ever get to talk to her, I will be in the clouds. And sure enough, I am fortunate enough to have Loren Vellucci come on tonight. She is from Atlanta, and she currently resides in Florida. Like I said, she's a private investigator, and if you watch Core TV, then you have seen her already, because she's an expert panelist who is regularly on Court TV. So let me go ahead and bring her on. Hey, Loren.
Hi, you got me blushing back here, Heather. That was so sweet.
Well, that's why I like to do the introductions. I know people get tired of saying, I do this and I do that. So I try to do that for my guests, but then I like to kind of put in a few of my own personal touches and why I know them. So, but anyways, all right. Okay. And I was checking, I do have someone let me know if the volume's okay. So good to know. Okay. All right. So let's get started because I think we have a lot to talk about. I mean, I know y'all have been talking, but I haven't been talking. So, tonight's, I don't know if you call it theme or whatever for discussion, is just life after Karen Reed's criminal trial, because we know she's got her civil trial going on, but I'm talking about the two trials, everything up, up before that, because I had personally started uh following the Karen Reed case back in August of 2023. So I mean that, so when I was like in it, I was watching everybody's YouTube channels all day long to get their perspectives, find out who were good content creators, who were not, and then as that went along, I started learning more about the law, because as you guys know, corruption was happening in real time. It wasn't like yeah, it was, some stuff was probably years ago, but with this trial, with Karen's story, it was happening in real time on like, streaming. And it blew my mind because these people did not care. They had been doing it for so long, they did not care. And I was flabbergasted. I was like, God, they have got some nerves up there in Massachusetts. And and I was like, sometimes I'd post, thank you, Massachusetts, for making Alabama look good. But anyway, so yeah, so I've been really, it's not like, for me, it's not about the crime or the true crime. It's more about the law and holding people accountable for whatever job they have. And just trying to get our criminal system better and get rid of these corrupted people, whether it's, our leaders, our police, whoever it be. And so I felt Canton was very relatable to me. And for those that don't know, that is where John O'Keefe, Boston police officer who Karen was accused of, I hate this, unaliving. I usually just say it, but whatever. YouTube's weird like that. But anyways, and I felt really the town was relatable to me. I live in a small town on the south side, and like we have like 9,200 something, people. So that was really relatable to me. I even kept up with the select board meetings in Canton. So I was like, not physically, but mentally, I was in Massachusetts for 2 years. So, but after the trial, it was like, okay, I would like to take all the positive things that everybody was doing, the boots on the ground, Bia, calling all beings, all y'all, what y'all are doing, and implement it into my town. Because, like, for example, I realized that we were having our city council elections and mayor elections, and city council is like select board for you, Bia. And so, and I was like, oh crap, this is what I'm like, this is what I was wanting to get into. So the thing about it here is, and I don't know if it's there where you guys live, but it's like people don't pay attention to the candidates until it's time to vote. And then they ask their family, their hairdresser, their dog's groomer, whoever, hey, who are you voting for? Do you know so and so? Are they good? Are they bad? And then that's it. They don't even find out what these people are like and what they stand for. And then they just, fill in the thing and turn in. And that's how we vote. And I'm as guilty. I've done the same thing. So I sent out invites to all the candidates, and 2 responded. And it was so funny because I did it for the townspeople that can't always make it to the campaign events, like you've got your elderly and disabled. And I know myself, I can't always go to their events. So how am I supposed to ask questions if I don't know, or if I can't go? So that was the whole point of the interview. And so, sorry, there we go. That was sliding off. But anyways, yeah, I did that. And you would have thought, I don't know, people were wild about it. They were like gossiping and drama, and then I was getting all these Facebook requests from people either I hadn't talked to in years or I didn't know them. And I was like, no. And then, and then somebody called me and said, Heather, what are you doing? And this is somebody that's was on the council. And I was like, what do you think I'm doing? I'm trying to not only help the candidates, but I'm helping the community try to get to know them. And so needless to say, it was a good thing for me, and I hope a lot of my community, which I did receive a lot of thank yous, and they appreciated me doing that. And I'm going to continue to still, do that. But just, things like that I'm wanting to do. We've got there's a case about a death row inmate, Toforest Johnson. I don't know if you guys probably aren't familiar with that. It's not being discussed enough. He is on death row, and I think it was he unalived a deputy who was like moonlighting, doing like security at a hotel, and he was accused of unaliving this deputy. And it's like Karen's case. There is no evidence, and he was on the other side of town. So, and we've got an investigative journalist, Beth Shelburne, who here in Alabama, she used to do mainstream media. She used to be on, I forgot what one of the channels, but now she does her own, and she did a excellent podcast about Toforest, and it's called Earwitness. So everybody, please check that out. And then we all know that all the states have problems with our prison system, but Alabama got a lovely documentary called The Alabama Solution on HBO, and it really was eye-opening. And so that is something else that I'm going to try to get some eyes on, is our prison system. And then last, and then I'm going to let y'all talk, is here in my town, we do have a local case where an elderly lady at an assisted living facility allegedly was given too much of her meds. I think it was morphine, by a worker and the facility administrator. Neither one of them were supposed to be, or didn't have the credentials to give medication and she was given too much, and a few days later she passed away. So that hearing is tomorrow, so I'm going to try to go to it, and that would be my first one, because in Alabama they don't allow cameras in the courtroom, so that's one I'm going to have to physically go to. So, but anyways, well, all right, Bea, what have you been up to?
So, I guess what brought me into this kind of space was learning about the Karen Reed trial. Obviously, I'm local. I'm in Massachusetts. So, what I was finding that the mainstream media was covering was just, clips here and there. We first heard that there was video footage of the incident at 34 Fairview. And it just seemed, from all accounts, it was, just a horrible accident. And then, the news would show, pieces of tail light and how the snow was melting and all these things. Anyways, fast forward to trial one. So basically, from when I first heard about it, a long time had gone by. The media would cover certain things. So it wasn't that, as a resident who I used to wake up every day and put the news station on. I couldn't function unless I was putting on for background noise, just to know what the weather was, what was happening in my state. I have to say, the Karen Reed trial and everything around it, it definitely brought an awareness that I didn't know, that I didn't realize what was happening. I was living in my own bubble. I watched trial one and I was just outraged. I'm like, how can anybody think this woman, how is this woman on trial? It just, nothing made sense. And I had a cousin who was also watching the trial, but that's it. So I only knew one person that was actively watching the trial. And it was like I had this rage in me. And I guess maybe rage isn't the right word. I think it was just the disappointment, the just not understanding how is this real life. And I decided to start showing up at standouts because I heard that there was standouts, people outside of court. And eventually, I showed up at a standout, and I met my very good friend Jen Root, who I
Mhm.
found out about her brother Justin, who had passed away due to from the police. So if you know that story, and it just brought in a crazy, like, it just brought so much awareness to myself. And I was just like, I'm going to keep showing up every week. So from there on, I started going to standouts weekly. I met the most amazing people. I drive an hour away to Dedham to do the sidewalk standouts.
Mhm.
Any fundraisings that came about, I attended. And eventually, later on that year, I met my co-host and DJ of Calling All Beings.
Hey,
Um,
DJ.
Hi, DJ.
He's in the chat.
Yes, I see him. Whatchamacallit? So I told him about Justin's story. He was willing to listen. And within 5 days, just Jen and I went on his show, and it just became, we've developed this friendship and understanding, and he, officially became a co-host. So I've been doing this about a year now. And fast forward, I no longer listen to mainstream media. I feel that what they cover is not what's really happening.
Mhm.
They they can't, 30 seconds a minute is not enough to cover everything that's happening. So I no longer wake up every morning and put on the TV. I go on my YouTube shows and I watch everything that's going on, because and even throughout the trial, I would watch a trial during the day and then break it down with Peter Tragos, Brother Counsel, Melanie Little, and just anyone that was talking about it, because again, I just wanted to confirm, did I just hear this like all day long listening to the trial? Like, is this really what's happening? And it was almost like because I had nobody to talk to about it, I was just kind of like, it just confirmed what I was watching throughout my day, throughout my work day. Fast forward to, trial two, I continue to be active in the community as much as I can. There's still weekly standouts now in Dedham, at the same location. They still meet there every Sunday for 2 hours, holding up the Justice for John O'Keefe signs. We're also working on Calling All Beings. We're covering Kelsey Fitzsimmons. Obviously, any updates with the Sandra Birchmore case, we're also following. And we've also covered some of the documentaries like the Amy Bradley story.
Yes.
So we just continue to kind of, know what's going on out there and just cover. But right now, the one that's definitely has our attention is Kelsey Fitzsimmons. That case is awful. When you combined, a mother with postpartum depression, having been shot by her partner, losing her baby, losing her career, her home is about to be sold so she can cover her legal defense, and all the parallels to the Karen Reed. Yes, DJ, missing persons, UFO, Bigfoot, true crime. Yes, we do it all. um,
One-stop shop.
One
Calling all
stop
beans.
shop for sure.
I'll be
Um,
putting the links to the YouTube channels in the show notes after the show.
yes.
So
So anyways, so that's kind of what we're working on. I started doing some roundtables. DJs let me host some roundtables. So just kind of doing what we can. Again, what brought me into this is the, you know, the justice for the people that need our help. We have basically what the Karen Reed trial for a lot of us was basically like there's a blueprint to what worked. And obviously at the end of the day, it was her wonderful defense team, her wonderful attorneys that won, but got her acquitted.
Right.
But there was also a lot of support and community that we all came together. And that
Yeah.
was what you saw outside of court. That's what you saw at the sidewalks. And that's what you're seeing throughout the YouTube community, was just kind of coming together and to continue to talk about the topics about this topic. And so that's basically what we're working on these days. So I'll pass it over to you,
Awesome. All
Laurie.
right. All right, Lauren,
Lauren,
let's go
sorry.
back. And what we'll do is, like, after we'll talk about what we've been working on, we'll go back to and talk about some cases, like just some of the things that maybe we've learned, and go in detail about, like, Kelsey Fitzsimmons, because some of that I don't know and I'd like to learn about too. So, Lauren, what have you been up to? I know you've been
Yeah.
busy with Court
Yes.
TV.
Well, thank you for having me.
Sure.
And yeah, I was wondering, like, you see all these content creators and all of that, but sometimes you don't get the backstory of how they got involved with the Karen Read trial and stuff. So it's really great to hear all that. I guess for myself, I had not really seen a whole lot of anything before the first trial. And I saw like one clip, I think it was on Court TV, of like Turtle Boy outside the courthouse and stuff like that. And I knew it was a very divisive case. There was multiple feelings on each side. So I purposely was like, okay, I want to watch the trial and not do any research and just watch it and form my own opinion. And so that's what I did. I didn't watch anything. And by like the middle of the prosecution's case, I was just like, what do they have? Like, are we going to get some kind of evidence? This is crazy. And so I was just like, okay, still waiting. Like, this is not a good sign. And then towards the end, I started to see like, okay, some things are not making sense. And this is just before the defense even started. And then when that happened and they got the case, it was crystal clear. And then I was like, I see the outrage. It all makes sense. So then, of course, I'm hooked. And I didn't find any of the YouTube creators until the second trial. So, come the second trial, of course, I'm watching everything and even more invested and all of this stuff. And then I've found this whole new world of, amazing content creators who are covering it every day and sharing their opinions, and people like Bia and DJ who are up there and talking for the people in the community. And so, yeah, you get hooked, and it's very much like Bia said, there's something inside of you that is just like on fire. You just want to be like, are you kidding? This is so wrong. And that keeps people hooked, I think, on this case, because like you said, Heather, you were seeing that, like the outrage and the injustice and the corruption in real time every day in the courtroom. So then you're like, what's going to happen today? Are we going to see this, kind of shadiness in the courtroom today again? So it kept everybody engaged, I think. But it did form that community. And I'm in Florida, I'm far away, but you get to know people, and you get to know those that are outspoken about it. And if you're one of those too, you kind of like, okay, kind of start talking. And fortunately, it was a great outcome, but the damage was done. And, there's so much that can't be repaired. And so now there's so many other cases that seem to be just there, like you're not even looking. And then you hear of other cases in that area. So it's hard to even move on from that area because there's other things that are just so wrong that are happening. So I kind of, I'm on Court TV, so I follow the cases that they're following and keep up with all of those cases. But, I've got a real passion now for seeing what's going on in Massachusetts. So even if they're not covering it, I'm watching the content creator shows and all of that. And so I've also become very affixed to the Kelsey Fitzsimmons case, because that's another one that I feel very strongly about. And so I, have been outspoken about that. And so, yeah, those are kind of the ones that I'm kind of been interested in lately and talking about.
Oh, well, thank you for sharing that. And yeah, there's something about Massachusetts, like, um, I, I, when I was like watching Karen's trials, I was like, this makes me so mad. I want to burn my bra and head on up there. And that is not me, y'all. I am like, I mean, like this, I'm not so introverted, but I am introverted. I don't just get out and go hop on a flight and go to Massachusetts and meet strangers. I went by myself. But yeah, and I wish I could remember that one thing that made me said, okay, definitely I'm going, booking everything. But yeah, it was ridiculous. And I just felt like everybody needed my help. I mean, what was I going to do? I don't know. But I went and I did, talk to some people like and Uber drivers and a guy at a restaurant, he was like, "What are you doing here?" And come to find out he was from Canton and I wasn't staying in Canton. And he told me it was so he told me, he believed Karen was innocent, but it was so funny because, Massachusetts, everybody's so boisterous and loud and passionate, and I love that. And because in South, we're like, we talk like that, and if anybody's loud, it's like, oh, who's in a fight? So, but anyways, the point is, the waiter was like so loud, but then when it got to the Karen Reed, he was like, very quiet and hush hush. And I hated that for him, but he appreciated it. He had no idea the story had gotten out so far down like to Alabama. I said, there are people from Australia and Ireland watching this. I mean, this is like big deal. So he was like appreciative. So it was just like people I came across, I didn't say, hey, have you heard about I wore my t-shirts. And then if somebody asked me a question, like, what are you doing here? That's when I would go into and clear up. And in fact, somebody in my hometown, which I think I was so shocked that she said it, was I was going to physical therapy at the time because I had broken my ankle. And somebody was asking me about my t-shirt and she said, isn't that rich lady? So the only thing she took for Karen Reed's case, now this was trial 1, but she took was that she was a rich lady. And I said, well, she's got more money than me. I mean, it was like, that was such a dumb response. And I hate to say that, but it really was. And I was just like, oh, Lord, they're going to need some help. Talking about just people in general, not just her, but like, if you can't see what's going on, then we got a problem. But yeah, let's one other thing I wanted to mention too, that like Bea was saying about the mainstream media. Y'all, it's becoming a joke. I mean, I'm like you. I mean, I just go to the internet. For my local, I go to Facebook. For world news that I'm interested in, I go to, or like, all the trials outside of Alabama, I go to Twitter. And then that's it. I don't, if you get some kind of news, it's just like some little blurb. It's not even like a whole article. And yeah, we're actually getting more information from like local PD's press releases than we are from mainstream media. And then on top of that, it's weird because I don't know about y'all, but here in Alabama, people look at me when I say I'm independent journalist, I'm a content creator. And because I was setting up my business, and the people at the office was like, huh? I mean, they were just looking at me like I was speaking Greek. So it was like, I was kind of embarrassed, but then I thought, Lord, y'all need to get out. There is a world out there that you need to get involved in. But yeah, mainstream media is, I hate it. They have their own agendas, and it's never the stories. The stories are not their agendas. And I really,
They have advertisers and certain attorneys that they deal with. And like there's a Channel 5 around here is one of the McAlbert attorneys. So that one doesn't cover. So it's like they're not truly covering what's happening. And it's kind of like one of those things that like, I feel like when I was watching, say that there was a snowstorm coming, they would talk about it so much you'd be afraid to leave your house. It's like they take the one topic and they, and not just covering everything. It's like, oh my God, there's a foot of snow coming. Go get, go to the grocery store, buy milk and bread.
Exactly, exactly. It's crazy, and actually, I am seeing a lot more of our local police and well across the United States making their own press releases. And I take that personally from the Idaho 4 case. Um, if y'all did you follow it, Lauren? Okay,
Yes, I
and
did.
Bea, did you follow that? Okay, so I did too. I even remember reading on Yahoo that morning it happened. But you know, is it Chief Fry? The chief in the beginning. He a lot of people gave him, I don't know, crap and didn't think he was doing a great job. I thought they did great because they put the updates on their website. And they could say, if you don't see it written here, then it's not true. And I loved that. And I'm seeing more and more of that. And like I said, I don't know if it was because of that case. It could be either, but I am seeing that. And so I'm really appreciative of law enforcement, getting ahead, not letting rumors get too crazy and putting their words out there. But
Yeah.
speaking of law enforcement, let's pivot back to Kelsey. Um, Bea, I'm going to ask you because you're local there. Can you like tell tell me about Kelsey's story? Because I know in the beginning, I think people had a different idea of what was going on, and
Yep.
then when Tim Bradle jumped on, then so
Yes.
can you tell us a little bit about her story?
Certainly. So her story, she is 28 years old, police officer, and she was engaged to be married. She had a baby. She was supposed to be getting married this past October 4th. And she had a baby in February. She then was, obviously on leave for maternity, and she was then diagnosed with postpartum depression, which is a normal thing for moms, new moms, all moms alike. She then sought help for her postpartum depression, but she was still caring for her child. Her fiance is also a North Andover firefighter. And she
Oh,
continued to care for her baby. Firefighters do 24-hour shifts, days
mhm.
on end. And she cared for her baby. At one point at the end of June, they had a bachelorette and bachelorette party up in Maine. I guess while they were there, a fight broke out, or, it was alleged that they got into an argument on the way back. I guess she had been drinking like anybody would at their bachelorette party. Again,
Yeah.
not a crime.
Mhm.
So they got into a fight. And then a a couple days later, I guess they had kind of I don't know if he had, I think the rumor is that he had moved out. He asked her to meet her at a park with the babies. They were supposed to meet and have a conversation. I'm hearing some static. Are you guys hearing that too? Or is
Yeah.
it just me?
Oh, okay. I don't
You're
hear it.
hearing it? Okay. Just want to make sure it wasn't me. Um, or if it may be me. Okay. I think it's good now.
Lauren,
S-
okay.
so she was supposed to meet him at a local park. She waited there with the baby for 3 hours. She then went back to her home. She owned her home by herself. She had bought it before. I don't know how long before, but she owned her own home in North Andover. She went back home, was sitting there, gets a knock at the door with three fellow police officers, colleagues of her, one of which was her partner.
Mhm.
And they were there to serve her with a restraining order. And
Mm.
in that moment, her life flashed before her eyes. Her career, her baby was being taken away. And here she was, being served this restraining order. I had no idea because he had gotten this ex parte, and she had no idea. Obviously ex parte means it was just his side of the story. And she went upstairs with with her partner. What is alleged is that she took out a pew pew and pointed it to herself because at that moment she lost her will to live. Her partner shot her, She was med flighted to Mass General Hospital, spent 53 days in the hospital. It's a miracle that she survived that because it was right to her chest.
Oh, wow.
She gets through that. She was arraigned in the hospital. Originally, she had 2 charges, and the grand jury did not indict her on the higher charge. They indicted her on Loren, help me out here. I always mess this up.
Um,
Danger,
I think, yeah, you have it.
assault with a dangerous
Yeah.
weapon is what she's being charged with instead of um, the bigger charge. Anyways, she was then, after spending 53 days, they went back to court and they had a bail hearing. She was going to be let out on bail with an ankle monitor. And she was also the judge ordered her to take a breathalyzer test, this random screenings throughout the day. But this entailed her having to breathe into the scram device, which, because of her injuries that she was still trying to heal from, she was having a hard time. So she was answering the alerts, but it was sometimes taking her an hour because you have to give such a very strong breath. And it was very painful. So Tim Bradle proactively went to the judge and said, can we have an alternative? Her probation officer was there. He testified saying, I have witnessed her being in pain. And instead of the judge agreeing to the alternatives, she said, well, we're putting you back in jail, revoked her bail. And again, she wasn't there for that purpose. She was there for an accommodation.
Right.
They revoked her bail and she's been in jail ever since. That happened on September 11th. And so I think we're around 40 days in to this. And again, this went in front of a single SJC who only got to hear what the judge said. I'm sorry, like her rulings, not the
Right.
audio, because the judge did storm off the bench. Again, very similar to Auntie Bev in the Karen Reed trial. These emotional outbursts that these judges keep having. And she's been in jail ever since. Right now, there is I believe it's a 6-panel SJC that's going to be hearing her case, and they're going to be able to see the audio and really see this look into this a little more than the single judge did. So we're waiting for her to be, hopefully they haven't set a date yet, but hopefully we hear soon and hopefully she gets out, because in jail, she's not getting the mental health that she needs. She's, recovering from these major wounds and hasn't been able to see her baby since he was taken out of her arms on June 30th. And here we are, it's November 2nd. So imagine a new mom, new baby.
It's
Awful.
crazy. I mean, that's what I was like. She has not seen her baby for that many days. I mean, granted, this is nothing like it, but it is for me. I don't have any children, and my dog had to have surgery. It was away from me, and I was like, oh my gosh. And I did. I thought about Kelsey. I thought, my dog was just away from me for 2 days. She's my baby. And I can't imagine what Kelsey is going through. And like I said, mental health, and while people are in jail, prison is a joke. It's a joke. They're not getting what they need. Here's you some meds. Go lay down, or whatever. I don't know what they do. I'm just imagining, but that's what I think they do.
And she's also a police officer, which adds another layer of. And there was already one instance where somebody blurted something at her, like screamed at her while she's been in jail. So these prisoners know who she is, that she's a police officer, and they're having to keep extra eyes on her. And it's just the whole situation is sad. Her ex-fiance has also gone to family court, so they have 2 cases going on, the criminal one and the family court matter. And basically he was originally wanting so she decided to sell her house because now she needs this the proceeds of her home to pay for her legal expenses.
Right.
So he then went after her to try to get 18 years of child support from the proceeds of her home up front. So this man, but now this week, he's gonna be awarded $12 a week, which is $48 a month. They're only giving by stipulation, it's going to be $48 a month and $50,000 from the proceeds, which is significantly less than what he originally asked for. And they're going to hold it back in escrow and give him $48 a month in child support for the child, because that is the minimum in Massachusetts for somebody who isn't working, is the $12 a week for child support. So also, and as DJ is alluding to here, we've also found out that there is a culture in the North Andover Police Department with them hiring officers and officers currently within that that are employed. They're female officers that have been receiving some abuse and harassment, and things are not a normal work environment, and so that's what he's alluding to there. We covered that on the show yesterday as well. But as far as the child, he also crazy thing, he's also going to baptize the child, which was very important to her, that her sister be the godmom. And instead, she's going to be allowed to attend, but he's going to have the child baptized soon. And, she's going to miss out on those, milestones of the baby and these important things in the baby's life. She's not getting to be a part of it.
That's so sad.
So sad.
Loren, so what are your thoughts about these charges against Kelsey? Like,
they're BS, absolute BS. And not only that, but as Bia was talking about, there seems to be a history of that department and the chief not treating women appropriately. I don't even know. I know there's for sure one lawsuit for sexual harassment. I want to say that I heard that there's two. And just very childish, like middle school things being done to women because they're women in the department. And there's not many of the women. So again, the whole thing that night where they came to take her baby, it was just a complete cluster. It should have never happened that way. They had people that she worked with, and in my opinion, they shouldn't have had that. They should have had someone, a neutral party, come, and there should have been a DCF worker there. They had Justin, her fiance, who obviously this is where, the turmoil is coming from, is him. They had him there at her residence. That escalates things. You don't do that. Like the police are also trained in these de-escalation tactics. They knew that she had just gotten cleared by the department to come back to work. So she was given her firearm back. Mm-hmm. And they failed to go inside and get that firearm, knowing that she was an alleged threat to someone. And I say it with air quotes because it was silly, but they should have gone and taken that weapon from her and secured that before they entered, even for their own safety as the police. Had they done that, we wouldn't be talking about that today. So I think it all goes back to their failure on their part. And I think when this is all said and done, she has claims for a pretty nice civil suit against them because protocols were not carried through that night. The officer who shot her, his stories that he's saying do not match up to what the other individuals in the house are saying that they heard. Just kind of things that you would think you wouldn't say if somebody was pointing a gun at you. So they're just a lot of things that don't add up. And the whole thing is nasty. The whole custody thing, you expect that, but it's been taken to a very personal level. This is a man who he hasn't been awarded custody. There has been no two-party hearing. He doesn't have custody of the child, and he's expecting 18 years in advance for what? That's absurd. And the fact that he thinks that he's getting that kind of shows his mind and the type of person that him and his family kind of are. And it seems that there's going to be more that are that's coming out about that once Kelsey can tell her story, about what led up to that breakup and then that night, that is going to be important.
Right. And something about that you were talking about police protocol. I mean, that is huge. And that's something that, I'm trying to work on with my channel too, is like in Canton. I mean, it's like they just make it up as they go along. And that's not how it works. And some of it is common sense stuff. Like, if this is a person that I work with, then we need to call somebody else to come work the case because we are all close. We're in, and no, we're just going to do it and do it however. But didn't, like, in the beginning, it came out like she shot her partner and it did. Okay. So I don't know. I mean, I just heard rumors that she had. Oh, go ahead, Bea.
Sorry. They were saying that she pointed the gun at him, and that's why he shot her.
Okay.
But that's his story.
Right. But she never her weapon was never discharged.
Okay.
So
there's that.
There's that.
Yeah. And people heard him like giving, trying to talk her out of something, right? And it makes a whole lot more sense if the gun was pointed at her head that he's going to be trying to talk her out of something. If the gun is pointed at you, you're shooting. That's just how you're trained, and that's how your mind works. So again, things don't really make sense. And I think, I don't think that this was necessarily like he was deliberately trying to hurt her, but I think, there was an overreaction on his part. And something happened and he pulled that trigger when it didn't need to be pulled, instead of, again, they're taught de-escalating tactics to try to, and none of that was used. And so it was him or her. And to put it like very bluntly, he knew that, oh, okay, something happened here that shouldn't have happened. It's either her or me, and one of us is going down for it. And of course he's going to lie about it. And the department is going to back him because he's a male.
Exactly. And that, I don't get it. Just own up. I mean, why don't people just own up? Go, in my former jobs, now granted, I was not a police officer, but still, if I messed up, I'd immediately go tell my boss. And then what can we do to fix it? Not illegally, but the correct way to fix it. And I guess it goes back to they're so used to doing things the way they want to do, and not some, policy and procedure, which that just blows my mind because in my life, I've had so many, different professional jobs, and I've been a state employee and a county employee. And I mean, policy and procedure is like huge, and they treat it like it's, I don't know, the least important thing. I mean, it's shocking, and I don't know. So, is everybody like sticking together at the police at Andover?
Well, I can tell you this. We had a standout at the police department a couple of weeks ago, and we did have a female sergeant approach us. Of course, we got there, we're at the corner of the police department and, with our signs, and we see this woman approaching us, and we're like, oh, they're going to probably tell us to leave. She came over, very nice. She said, she knows Kelsey personally. She's worked with her, and she knows all the other parties involved that were there at the house. And she was very nice, welcomed us. We're like, we're happy. I'm so happy that you guys are here in support of Kelsey. And, she said, if you guys want to come in, use the bathrooms, like feel free. It was very welcoming atmosphere. She was saying that they have a lot of, since this incident, there's been a lot more, reflection, and they have some controls in place that they didn't previously have. And again, there's no body cams. So here's the problem. I guess it's been a rumor that there were awarded funds 4 body cams and they just didn't use the funds. I don't know. It's kind of but at the end of the day, that it's her word against the officer. And one of the reasons why she was put back in jail, the judge said, this is for the safety of the community and Officer Noonan. Okay, let's take this back. She did not shoot her gun. And then she's the one that's, a menace to the community and or the officer. She doesn't have her guns. So how exactly, like, I don't know. It's just so twisted.
And isn't Brian Walsh out? Or did I hear that wrong?
I think he's not out yet, but I think he was at a time, maybe.
Okay. Because I was thinking, yeah, and Brian Walsh is out.
Right.
Doing his thing.
Got his phones returned within 24 hours. And then there are other defendants that are out there that haven't gotten their phones after 3-4 years, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
It's crazy. It's like, do what we want to do, or we like this person, or we don't like this person, or we want to make a statement with our behavior by how we treat this defendant.
And that's the thing. There's no equality in the way all these defendants are being treated. So you have ones with bigger charges that actually there's a lot of information pointing to the fact that they could have done this, obviously innocent until proven guilty, but that there's a lot of evidence, and then they get to be out on bail and on bond. And it's like, wait a minute, you have people that didn't do the crimes just don't fit the punishment is really what it feels like. And there's not equal treatment for all the accused. It's just, we don't like you, so we'll give you a tougher one. And then we like you, we'll go easier on you. It just doesn't seem that everything is, working in uniform here.
Yeah.
I mean, unison, sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Loren. You were going to say.
No, I was just going to say, if you haven't heard the audio from that day in court when she got thrown back in prison, you will talk about that anger inside of you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're going to get it again for that, because I've never seen a judge act this way. It was so personal. And she was bound and determined to revoke her bail that day. It didn't matter what the probation officer was saying, what the doctor, she already had evidence that she was shot. She knew she had bullet fragments still in her chest. I mean, these are things that, you don't have to be a doctor to know that. And she was so nasty. I mean, I was livid.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's another trend that I'm seeing. It's not just in Massachusetts, but gosh, what case? Well, I know it was in the Delphi case, yes. But where they are taking these people who have not been convicted, and they are putting them in. Oh, we can't hold them here in the jail, so they need to go to a prison. And
wrong.
Yeah, and then they come out like Rick Allen. I mean,
yep.
He didn't deserve that, whether he did it or not. He didn't deserve that treatment. No. And then there was somebody else. I think Defense Diaries is covering. Is it Austin? What's his last name?
Drummond.
Yes.
And love Defense Diaries.
Yes, and they are the prosecution is trying to get him moved to a prison. Mm-hmm, and again, that goes against those, constitutional rights of how is his attorneys going to even get to meet with him when they don't even know where he's going to be moved to. And that's the same thing that happened with Rick Allen. And at least with Kelsey, thank goodness, she can, Tim still has access, right, to her, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, she's 2 hours away from the Salem, Massachusetts, for her criminal. So they have to bus her up. It's a little over 2 hours.
Wow.
To go to her court hearings, because she's in a women's facility.
Wow. But still, I mean, why aren't we putting them in prison when we're supposed to, they're innocent until proven guilty, but we're going to go ahead and stick them in a prison because, their behavior. I mean, I didn't think Austin's behavior, if you saw what he was doing, I didn't think it was great, but was it worthy of him being shipped off to a prison? No.
I mean, but there again, you go to the mental health, aspect of this. You're put into a prison. You don't know what those guards are doing to that prisoner. And with the Austin Drummond case, there is some underlying issues there that tie back to that political town and that department. So who knows what he is being subject to and why he's acting in that manner. And they ship him off because they would much rather them be, harshly treated, and they don't want things getting out, I think.
Right. Oh yeah, because in his defense, he's saying he was a informant, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. FBI,
Yeah.
right? Okay. That's what I thought. But has there been any evidence that's come out that for the public to see yet?
I'll be honest, I've only watched a couple streams about Defense Diaries, but it was enough to give me reasonable doubt. I'll tell you that. And there's some things there that potentially make a lot more sense that he could possibly be innocent. I don't know. He may very well have done it.
Right.
But there's some weird stuff there. He obviously knew some things, regardless if he was, an informant or not. He was aware of things that were going on.
Right. And that's the thing with the cases, and that I'm like, when I was going back to saying, oh, I'm not like a true crime junkie. It's how things are being handled. These procedures. Why aren't, prisoners being sent, or, the defendants being sent to prisons? Why are they not getting the mental health care that they deserve? Why aren't their their rights are just being SHIT on. I'm trying to be good. My mom's watching.
and that judge, Kathleen McCarthy Nyman, who threw Kelsey back in jail, she also needs another surgery. And she denied her that right of having her surgery because they would have to remove the ankle bracelet for the amount of time that she went under. Okay. As if she's going anywhere under anesthesia.
Yep.
Okay, this is what I'm going to respond. And I did this every time Auntie Bev got up on the TV and did her shit. I would say, that bitch. So that's what I'm going to say about that one. That's awful.
Yes.
And her being a woman.
That's the other thing I wanted to mention. It's like, here we are. Women are now, in these high-powered jobs, and then we're going to sit here and have emotional outbursts. Like, we can't contain our emotions. Like, that it's like, I don't get it. Like, we've come such a long way. You have women that are CEOs. You have women that are, and this is the way we're going to act emotionally. Like, seriously, your emotions do not count. This is this is somebody's life and liberty. And we're going to sit here and throw little temper tantrums and storm off the bench. I mean, okay, it was crazy to see it once, but now we're seeing it again. It's like, wow. Oh,
it really was an adult temper tantrum. You nailed it.
I'm going to have to go back and it's just the audio.
Yes.
Okay.
Just the audio.
I'm going to have to go back and watch that or listen to it, because I didn't get to, I listened to a little bit and then I had something to do. So I want to go back and listen to that. And that is, and you would think, like, with these temper tantrums and being so dramatic and emotional, they are doing what men, not all men, because I don't like to generalize, but some men don't want us to have these powerful jobs. Oh, women, they're too emotional. They can't handle it. It's probably her cycle time. Whatever. Right. And then here she is, knowing that this is a high profile case, and then she's going to act that way, just like Bev. Oh my goodness. Don't get me
Bev knew she was in front of the cameras. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is just her natural, in her huffing and puffing. I remember thinking, like, wow, that is so unprofessional. Mr. Jackson. Was that necessary?
Exactly. And Mr. Yannetti, don't say of course anymore. Of course. And then he couldn't help it, because that's what he uses for his whatever. But yeah, like, and we were talking about, watching the 2 trials of Karen. I know we're jumping, but all this is so connected. It's kind of like Marvel, they used to say it's all connected. And it's the same thing, like like Loren said earlier, you said you watched the trials because you wanted to, just focus on what was presented. And a lot of people do watch trials and they'll say, I want to watch it from a juror's perspective. Well, that's where I personally feel people miss out, because from watching the pretrial hearings for Karen's first trial, I learned so much. I learned how dirty Bev was. I learned how dirty Lolly was. I heard, everybody, no, you can't have this in. Well, why? And even the court rulings didn't even make sense sometimes.
No, speaking of that, they don't tell the jurors that everything that they need to go in there and make a decision. It's so off base. They give them a tad of the information that they really use. And I think that is so unfair, and it is absolutely ridiculous that they do that.
Right. Exactly. Because I can't say how I would have thought just watching the trials, because I was so, in the pretrial hearings and just watching Bev. And it was so funny because I think it was like Peter Tragos and Emily D. Baker, loved them. Yep. And they were like, when the trials were starting, and they had already like heard the rumors about Bev, and they were like, well, I probably would have done that. And then as it went along, they were like, you could see them change their, thoughts about her change. And I was like, y'all should have went way back in May or whenever and, and started then. But yeah, it's a shame. And I don't know how we can even get, I mean, I understand like when they say like if somebody had done something wrong in their past, that wouldn't pertain to that. But then some of it is because it pertains to their character. And it's like, how do you even work that? Is it a law thing? Is it, it's stuff like this that I don't even know where to start, but it's something I would like to help. And is it like going and changing laws? Is it talking to attorneys and judges and getting, I don't know.
Unfortunately, I think that's, sorry, no,
go ahead.
No, you're good.
I was just going to mention, in the fact that she refused to recuse herself when her own, Venmo messages of accepting funds from one of the witnesses for her summer cottage home. And she was like, my name is not spelled with an E, and refused to recuse herself. She had an out. And she chose to just continue and double down and be the SJC judge for this trial, first and second trial. And, she wanted to see this all the way through.
Yeah. Which begs the question, why? And the same with Kelsey's judge. Why are you so personally invested that you are so nasty about things? What is there? Is there a connection between you and Justin's family or with the officer? What's going on? Because something's not looking, it's not smelling right.
Right. And it's like, why are you pushing so hard? And there's stuff here, like with the elections I was telling you about here where I live, and people were like so pushing hard for this, and I'm like, what's in it for you? What's your relationship with this person that you are just, and I feel the same way with these judges. Like, what's it going to hurt for you to say, I may have something with this case, so I need to step back. What was it going to hurt her? And,
and she may not have had anything, but it sure looked like it. And that's the problem.
Right.
The appearance of impropriety.
Yes. Yep. And even if there's just an ounce, like I think her brother was Chris Albert's attorney.
Yep.
Back when he ran over somebody and you know what?
Yep.
And ran from the police. But anyways, and I mean, even with that, I would have said, nope, I'm not touching this case. You'll have to give it to somebody else. But nope, she just, she fought it. It was so crazy.
Yeah,
And
his
that's the thing
corruption.
too. These judges, I think one of the things that I'm more surprised that I've learned throughout our judicial, system and how it works is that these judges have a lot of judicial discretion. So they're allowed to make these decisions, and they're not being, unless they go and go to the SJC, they don't really, everything has to just, it is their decision and their decision only. So they don't have anybody that's overseeing their rulings unless they bring it up to the SJC, and their discretion is just so broad. And again, not everything they obviously they're following the laws, but they just, I don't know. That's what's really been, this awareness that has brought to my eyes, that it's like, wow, not everything is just, it's not very clear.
Right.
They just have a broad discretion in their rulings.
Yeah, I
Yeah, and then
agree.
trying to fight it afterwards is like good luck.
Right.
Yeah, it is. It's ridiculous. And like when I watched, was it Weinstein? What was Karen's appeal? Is it who's
I think you're right.
Weinberg?
okay,
Was it
Weinberg or
Weinberg. Okay.
Okay, Weinberg. And he was in front of the Supreme Court, and and they were like, well, according to the oh gosh, now brain's gone. Transcripts. There we go. They were talking about transcripts or something, and I remember thinking, but you didn't hear the tone in that, or you did. It was like they got to have some visuals to go along with the paperwork, and they don't. They need some, and I don't know if they look at evidence. Like I don't know what their scope of what they do, but I feel like they're not looking at the whole case. But that's just, my opinion based on that one that I actually got to watch. But yeah, and then they just send it back down. And these judges, they have immunity. And no, that needs to stop. I mean, they've got, like I was saying, I mean, they've had people's lives in their hands
Right.
before the jury. Let's put it that way, before if it is a jury trial. But, and then, and no accountability. That's got to change.
And
And
Bev
it's
was
bad when
appointed
you
by Morrissey.
What now?
Bev was appointed by Morrissey.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Just keep that in mind. Sorry, Loren.
no, you're spot on. It's just a big ball of corruption that keeps going and spiraling, and it's gross.
It is gross and it's disgusting, and it's just things like this that I don't know. I feel overwhelmed, me personally, because I have it in my heart that I just want to help so many people, and it's so overwhelming. And like Loren, how do you know, besides discussion on court TV that you research, but how do you know what to pick and choose to help with your job? Does that make sense? Like, I'm
Like
sure.
what cases I would choose to
Yeah,
help or not?
yeah, yeah.
I try to get all the evidence that I can possibly, like, I want as much as I can before I even agree to take a case.
Okay.
And some people don't like that, but that tells me a lot right there if they don't like that. Because I want to, and my true passion is missing persons cases. So those are very big for me, but I want all the information so I can look through it and see if I think I can really truly help. And if it's something that strikes me that I'm passionate about. Those are the cases that, get under your skin, the ones that you're passionate about. And those are the ones I want.
Right.
So.
Right. Well, which I mean, I'm totally different. I'm not a PI, so, but it's hard for me to, which case am I going to follow? Am I going to follow something in my home state, or I'm going to follow this and this is going on? And sometimes I just feel overwhelmed. Bea, how do you pick? How do you?
So I can certainly speak to that. So when I started with Karen Reed, that's what kind of brought me into the justice movement. And then I learned about Just en Route. When I heard the story about her brother having been shot by the police, that story resonated with me because I had lost a brother myself of natural causes, but just the fact of that loss and understanding of when you lose a sibling. So that connected. And then from there, I got into Sandra Birch more. obviously, we know that Matthew Farwell has been in custody since last September. And his charges were just recently upgraded, by the way, to include the child, the unborn child. And I kind of connected with Sandra Birchmore because I also have a teenage daughter. And I was like, so I kind of, it does get overwhelming. And you kind of have to know where the cases are at this point to know how you can help. Like, I have gone to a lot of Sandra Birchmore standouts and have spoken, went there for her 5-year anniversary of her death, and and I spoke at the Canton Police Department afterwards. So I just know it does get overwhelming, but right now it's kind of knowing where the cases are at this point and where you can help. So we started doing the Stronger Together standouts, which was including Karen Reed, Justin Root, Sandra Birchmore, and Enrique Delgado Garcia. Right now, there's not a lot of standouts at this point. So now I'm able to focus on Kelsey. And we do the North Shore Nacho Nights every other week we're doing fundraising for her defense. So it's kind of knowing where the cases are, where you can help, but it does get overwhelming because you want to help everyone, but I just know that the cases that I want to follow, I need to understand them from start to finish, because I don't want to spread myself too thin and then I'm overwhelmed and I can't help.
Right.
So it's kind of, where can we fill in to help right now? I mean, I've also, like I followed the Black Swan trial. That was like, as Melanie calls it, the pellet cleansers and like they're not, I mean, that was a crazy case. And we had one up here in Massachusetts that I covered with her. It was a Penny McGee. That was an interesting one. But again, those weren't ones that required me to go to standouts, fundraisers, and all this stuff. So it's kind of, it does get overwhelming, but I am only going to cover what I can I want to put my best effort and put my best foot forward and give it what I can and not try to do too much. And then I'm not helpful anywhere. So right now that's kind of like where I'm at.
And see, that's one of the things I love about you is your way of thinking is different than mine, but we're on the same, we have the same goals, but your thinking is different than mine. And I love that. And so thank you for that, because I just sit in my brain with my ADD. It's like, okay, there's this one. Well, I could do, and I mean, it's like, I can't even move forward because it's like, who's more important, or who's, what can I do? Yeah. So that is helpful. And I appreciate that. You sharing that.
And something that we were talking about on the fundraiser last night for Kelsey too. It's just, donations help. Yes. But is everyone in a position to do that? No. So talking about something to someone, maybe like your coworker on lunch, getting that message to them, and something about that case maybe resonates with them and they pass it along. So just doing like what you're doing here with your YouTube presentation, getting all these things out there to as many people as can take it in is extremely helpful.
Well, that is my goal. So thank you for acknowledging that, because that's, people, they're like, why are you doing a YouTube channel? And I'm like, there's a lot to be said.
This is the wave of the future. It really is.
It really is. And I don't know about you guys, but a lot of my friends are married, they have children. So, and I'm single and don't have children. So I don't get to talk, because everybody's laughing, right. Everybody's got their own life going on. So I like this because then I can talk to people that are aware. And then, maybe my friends might watch this and maybe not. But again, we're getting the word out. We're using our platforms to help people the best we can. And I love that, because I've just always been the type that I want to help people. And since I had to retire, this has really helped me, because I was like, what am I going to do? And when I saw people talking on YouTube, I was like, well, I can do that. And then add in helping people. So that's pretty awesome. And and talking about missing persons, see, I advocate for Alabama's missing people because when I would go
Oh, it's
on
amazing.
X, yeah, I would be like, "Where's Alabama folks? Where's" there would not be a lot. So I go on to the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency and I create my own missing posters and from based on the information they have put out on their website and try to share the best I can for that. So there's that too. And sometimes I get them out, sometimes I don't, but I try not to like be too hard on myself because I think
Yeah.
I don't know if you're about y'all, but sometimes I am hard on myself because, oh, I didn't get to do that right, right then. And I'm not like a breaking news person. So because I'm about quality. I want to
Yeah.
make sure that I have the right information and everything is, I have the evidence or, I've seen the evidence, whatever. So I'm not a breaking news person. And I don't know, I just like what I'm doing and I love meeting people like you guys and that we have these connections and just share what is going on in the world because mainstream media is not doing it. Not
Yes.
doing it at all. So, well, all right. I guess we can start wrapping it up. But here's the one thing that I didn't tell y'all about. Shocker. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, this is fun. This is fine. But I do this with my interview guests. Okay. So I like to ask fun questions that you don't know until I ask you. So are y'all good with that?
Oh yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, so let me find because I have one for each of you and then one that I want you to both answer. Okay. Lauren, this is for you. If you could instantly master any skill, what would it be?
Oof. Can you be more specific on the skill?
Let's see. Let's see. Any skill. Now I'm having to think.
Yeah, I'm like, my mind could go in
You
a lot
should
of
have
different.
that. Well, just what's the first thing that popped? Is anything popped in your mind? I mean, do you want
Mind
to?
reading.
Yeah,
But I
okay.
don't know if you would consider that a skill because it's kind of like,
It's,
obviously like.
yeah, no, that okay. Let's go with what you're as a private investigator. What's a
Yeah. So this is something that I have worked on and done training for, but I want to get a lot better at is body language. Just in real life time, even with dating out there,
yeah?
I think it's something that everyone can learn things from. And I have a general idea about it, but I want to dive even deeper into it. So that would also help with my job, but it would also help with
Yes.
just life in general. So
Oh,
I love body language.
Oh,
Me
love
too.
that.
Yeah, I mean, I've just looked at stuff online, but it helps me understand people's behavior.
Yes.
And I learned so much. Again, back to the election stuff, there was some behavior, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm not voting for them." And that
Uh-huh.
ain't their word; it was their behavior.
Yeah,
And
and you
so,
can't control all of it. So like there's
mhm,
tells, so it's
right, right,
fascinating.
yeah,
And
we
some
might,
people are just good at just kind of being actors, right? So
yeah,
they smile
yeah.
at you, look at you in the eye, but you don't know what they're, who they
If
really
they're
are underneath that,
Yes.
facade.
exactly, exactly. Okay, so Bea, this is for you.
Sure.
Oh, and Lauren, I love that answer because,
Thank
like I
you.
said,
Same.
we may have to do something on body language if y'all ever want to come
Yeah.
back on my show. But anyways, okay. Bea, what's the most adventurous thing you've ever done?
The most adventurous thing I've ever done, well, I can think of a few, but I went to Alaska.
Oh, wow.
Yes, on a 7-day inner passage, and we went on top of a glacier, where they had a dog park and we went up on a helicopter, and then we got to go dog sledding. That
Oh
was pretty
my
adventurous.
gosh.
Oh,
That is
amazing.
awesome. I
Yes.
always wanted to, see that Iditarod. So, even just
Yeah.
getting to see the dogs, like, that is
Oh my,
amazing.
they're on top of this glacier, they have, like, the little houses, and they're just in their little houses, they're so cute, we got to
Oh,
hold the little puppies.
Oh,
But,
oh,
going on that helicopter ride, I was so excited, loved
yeah.
it.
That is amazing. Oh my gosh. I knew
So
you
fun.
you traveled some, but I wouldn't have expected doing that.
Yes.
So that's awesome. Okay, so this is for both of you, and I'll go with Loren first. Well, first of all, do y'all do karaoke?
Oh yes, I love karaoke.
What about you, Bea?
A
Do you
little
do?
bit. No,
Okay,
I don't do karaoke, but I sometimes when I'm on the phone talking to people, I break out into song.
okay,
So
okay. All right. Well,
I love it.
I'll tweak that. Okay, so Lauren, what is your go-to karaoke song?
Anything by Carrie Underwood, but probably it would be between Before He Cheats
Yeah.
and
Oh.
Last Name. Those are my two.
Oh, awesome. Okay. I like that. Now, I love to ask music questions of people because music is my escape from everything. And I have like an eclectic taste and I love to go sing karaoke, but I have to practice. Like, I can't just go and I'll sing a song and then somebody will say, "Well, can you sing this?" And I'm like, "No, I got to go home and practice."
I love the commitment. I love it.
Yeah, so, like, anyways, so, like, "Hurt So Good" by John Cougar Mellencamp, I
That's a
like
good
it
one.
as, like, a warm up because that way I'm getting my nerves out, you don't have any, like, certain high or low notes, and it's fun, I like
Yes.
I like for people to get out and dance and just have fun, so that's probably mine. So, Bea, what's a song that okay, if you don't go karaoke, maybe in the car, you sing like it or if you're like ready to go to some party and you're like, I'm getting dressed, I'm getting pumped up and I'm singing. What is that song that
Um, for me, it's Girls Just Wanna Have Fun. I think that's a classic. It definitely gets me and I love to dance. I'm actually a Zumba instructor. So I love to dance. It's I get to do it once a week. And yeah, I love it. So I love music, love dancing. And I'm always, if I'm not watching a YouTube show, I have my earpod listening. I love songs. Oh my gosh, love Peter Cetera, all these, like older, because the music back then is just not the same as it is now. Like now you get some crazy rap that you can't even like dance to.
Yeah,
So I love, the lively music. So
yeah, yeah, definitely. Well, all right. It's about time to wrap it up. Again, thank you ladies so much. You have
No
literally
problem.
made my night, my year.
Thank you for having me.
Did
thank
sure.
you. This
And
was
I appreciate
fun.
well, this is what I just like to like, let's chill and talk, and we can still
Yes.
talk about stuff important and be chill about it. But, okay, is there anything that you wanna put out there or just, just some final thoughts?
Final thoughts. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in. And, let's just keep our eye on the prize. Just always remind ourselves why we came into this. I was never a public speaker. I would find myself, never being able to compose a sentence. And now, I don't even have to think about it because or write it down. It just comes from the heart. And I've learned through this whole process, just speaking from the heart, letting, it doesn't matter, I know that I have good intentions, and and I want to help as many people as I can in these different movements. And so I think we should all just block out the noise and always remind ourselves why we came into this movement and how we can help, because that's what really matters.
Yes, I agree. Okay, Lauren, what about
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, we're lucky enough to have this awesome movement and everyone that cares so much. Like I mean, you guys are two examples of people who care and do stuff because you care. And there's a million other ones that are in this movement that have the same heart. So we're lucky to have it. And so we could use our platform to talk about things that we're passionate about. And for anyone that's listening, the Kelsey Fitzsimmons case, if you were a Karen Reed supporter, you're probably going to want to latch onto that one. It is the same kind of outrage. And so, yes, do a little research on it. And I guarantee you will feel some type of way about it.
Yeah, I'll be sure to put the links to what we've discussed in the show notes as well, as long with all your information. And again, thank you so much. So, until next time, my friends, Be aware of your surroundings. Please stay safe. And whatever you do the right thing.